Hello everyone, FPL Raptor here, and welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. In today's video, we have my Gameweek 36 team selection. I've got so many injuries, especially to my defense. So in today's video, we'll take a look at what my team currently looks like, what my current transfer plans are, and whether I'll inevitably be taking yet another hit again this week. If you do enjoy today's video, please do smash that like button. And if you're new around here, make sure to subscribe as well. But without further ado, let's jump into it. So guys, wasting absolutely no time at all today, jumping straight into the Gameweek 36 team selection. And as you can see today, we are playing fun with flags because I have got so many injuries in my defense with only one fit defender, but we'll discuss all of that in a second. For Gameweek 36, I should say, I'm lining up in a 3-5-2. I've got 7.6 million in the bank and I've got one free transfer. So I'm flexible with respect to money, not particularly flexible with respect to free transfers. Obviously, I wildcarded in Game Week 30, hence why my team does look a bit of a state, and it's one of obviously the benefits of saving the wildcard for a little bit later. But I feel like I did gain the points. I still am happy with the strategy, but I have got very unlucky with injuries. I think unless you wildcarded in 35, or you've just got really, really lucky with injuries, you're probably sat there looking at your defense with at least one injured player, at least one flagged player. Now, of course, we know in FPL that flag doesn't mean that they definitely miss out, and flag doesn't mean that they miss out for the next 3 or 4 game weeks. But with a lot of these players, potentially all of them, I do think that they could be an issue for me, considering that double Game Week 37 is only next week, and that's when we need all 15 of our players. I don't think it's in a particularly good position. So we'll discuss all of that. The team is currently still somehow rated at 93% according to Fantasy Football Hub. I think that might be a bit of pity from them. And I'm currently predicted to get 63 points in Game Week 36. So starting with the goalkeeper position, I'm actually very happy with this. I've got David Raya. I held on to him. And whilst I may well be bringing in an Arsenal defender, as we'll discuss in a second, at least I've already got one in place. So if I decide not to bring another one, and Arsenal do inevitably keep a clean sheet this week, or maybe even in 37 or 38, I think I'm just going to hang on to Raya for the remainder of the season, and I'm going to start him in 36. I'll start him in 38 as well, and I will happily bench boost with him in 37 against Manchester United away, because which other defences are even keeping clean sheets? Everton have done quite well recently, but outside of that, teams just don't keep clean sheets other than Arsenal, really. And I just think they're so reliable with 2 good home fixtures, and the Man United game, I could see them keeping a clean sheet as well. I don't mind the idea of just having David Raya. Weirdly, and I don't know why this is, I don't feel fully comfortable about benching Petrovic, and you might say that's absolutely ridiculous, and it probably is the case. I'm obviously recording this before they play against Spurs on Thursday, by the way, but I don't know why. I just look at this and think, I could see Chelsea keeping a clean sheet here, which the data doesn't suggest. West Ham are fine going forward. Chelsea are not a particularly strong defence. I just feel a bit uncomfortable benching Petrovic this week. Maybe it's due to it being a home fixture. Obviously, David Raya is the keeper to start, and I will be starting him. I've just got a bad feeling that Petrovic might keep a clean sheet this week, but I am happy to still have Petrovic. He's at least a doubling keeper for 37, and if I do need him for whatever reason, if Raya were to ever miss out, then Petrovic is absolutely fine coming on. So I'm actually okay with the goalkeeper combination at the moment, and I can't see myself making a goalkeeper transfer. So whilst I'm happy with the goalkeeper situation, I'm obviously not happy with the defender situation. So again, I will fully acknowledge that one of the benefits of wildcarding in 35 as opposed to 30 is that you are wildcarding much closer to your bench boost, and therefore you are less likely to pick up injuries such as this. But even regardless, I mean, this is very unfortunate to have 4 injured players in Game Week 36. But not only that, remember I took out Udogie and Bradley last week for a hit. So I took out 2 injured players for a hit, and I still yet have 4 injured players in my defence. I mean, it's absolutely bonkers. And sadly, we haven't had a particularly positive update on any of these players at the time of me recording, which is at midnight on Wednesday, May the 1st. So the only fully fit defender, and I really do hope he is fully fit at the time of me recording, is Dan Burn. Perfectly happy with him this week. I brought him in last week as part of the hit. So Dan Burn, please stay fit for me, and he is okay. But then the other 4 defenders are all flagged. Now, I would love to give you a definitive update on all of these defenders, but as of, again, Wednesday at around midnight, I don't have an update really on any of them. But I am starting to get a bit of an idea about which defenders may be more likely to feature. And remember, because I'm bench boosting 37, I need all of them. So if all 4 of these aren't going to be available for 37, I need to use 4 transfers because I'm not going to bench boost with only 14 players. So all of them are going to have to go potentially, but I am hopeful that maybe 1 or 2 might be fit and available for 37. So in terms of who I am slightly more hopeful about, Fabian Schär apparently was brought off due to a precaution. I think it was hamstring tightness or maybe a slight tweak. And so therefore, if it wasn't an injury, it was just a precaution, could he maybe be available, even if he's not available this week, for 37? And we saw previously earlier in the season, Fabian Schär came off, people were like, oh my God, it's a long-term injury. And like 4 days later he played. I think that might have also been with his hamstring. The issue that we've got is that as of Wednesday, he was not pictured in team training. That doesn't mean that he wasn't in team training. He just wasn't pictured. And also, we just don't trust Eddie Howe. If Eddie Howe said he was injured for 6 months, he could play the next game. And if he says he could play the next game, he could be injured for 6 months. So I can't see myself taking Schär out this week unless we get a definitive update that he's out for the rest of the season, because I would love to have him for 37 and maybe even 38. So Fabian Schär is probably the least likely of the 4 defenders to be sold for me. Gusto, sadly, is still not in any form of team training as far as we are aware, again, as of Wednesday. And the other issue we've got is even if he is back in training, Reece James has been in training for even longer than Gusto at that point. So even if Gusto does come back, people are saying, oh, but they won't want to rush Reece James back. And absolutely, that's the case, right? But does it mean that Gusto just comes straight back into the starting 11? They've got other players that can play at right back as well. I just don't even think if Gusto now is fit and available for West Ham, he's even a particularly good option for the double or even for this week. So I'm just a little bit hesitant now. They've got like 3 or 4 options that can play at right back. Is Gusto even worth keeping regardless of all of this? I suppose there's no need to rush him out this week unless we get a really negative update on him, because he does double in 37 and he does carry some attacking threat. So probably the 2 least likely to be sold for me at the moment are Gusto and Schär, which leaves Van Heck and Ait-Nouri on my bench. There are rumours going around, but this hasn't been confirmed, that Van Heck is out for the season. Apparently a Dutch journalist reported it, who's been quite reliable in the past. I saw it spreading around Reddit, a few people mentioning it over on Twitter, but no one actually has got a specific source that is highly reliable. So, of course, we'll find out very, very soon, but it sounds like Van Heck could be out for the season. If he's not, and if it is only short term, I'd love to hold on to Van Heck, but it does look very likely now that I'll need to remove Van Heck. And then Ait-Nouri, I think Ait-Nouri is probably one of the more likely to play, actually, in Gameweek 36, as of what we know right now. But he plays against Man City, so I don't want to play him this week anyway. In Gameweek 37, I've been saying for a while, I don't mind the idea of keeping Ait-Nouri because he plays Crystal Palace at home. But now that looks like an awful fixture because Crystal Palace are playing so incredibly well. That's not going to be a clean sheet. And then I think it's Liverpool on the final day of the season. So even if Ait-Nouri is fit, I don't really desperately want to keep him anyway. So this is honestly a disaster at the moment. I mean, it couldn't possibly be going much worse in the defence position. Let me know if you sympathise down below and let me know if you have your own defender injuries. So just to recap that, Burns fine. And as of right now, on the information that I currently have, I think I'll keep sharing Gusto. And I'm probably going to have to use my free transfer and take a hit to replace Van Heck and Ait-Nouri. If Schär is fully cleared as fit, like we know, we've seen him in team training, looks absolutely fine, he's pictured, Eddie Howe says he's fine, and we just think there's no way he misses out, well then I've got 2 defenders then, right? Burn and Fabian Schär. So then, in that situation, maybe I don't have to make 2 defender transfers, maybe I only have to make the 1. But I think just due to making sure that I've got a bench, making sure that I sort out some of these flags, I think I am very likely to make 2 defender transfers this week, which will mean in 2 weeks, I have made 4 defender transfers and 2 hits, and I'll still have at least 2 injured defenders in my in my squad, which is bonkers. But anyway, so I'll be making defender transfers. So I don't normally do it in this order, but let's now discuss what defenders that I might potentially be bringing in whilst we're on the topic of defenders. So there's a couple of ways that I could go with this. And you can actually see that 3 of my 4 main options don't double in 37. I just don't trust any of the defences, really, that double in 37. Newcastle maybe, but I've already got Burn, and if Schär's out, then I don't really want to load up again on any other Newcastle defenders particularly. Man United, I don't think they'll keep a clean sheet. Brighton, I don't think will keep a clean sheet, but I had Van Heck because at least he was cheap. Chelsea and Spurs, maybe Porro could be fine for 37, but I don't want him this week. Chelsea, I'm really not interested. I've already got Petrovic. So it's really only Man City that I would consider a defender from for the doublers if I'm expecting or wanting a clean sheet in at least one of the games. But even Man City, they've got Fulham and Spurs away. I could see them conceding in both those games. So it's why I'm actually starting to look at singlers a little bit more. And if we're talking about single game week options, I mean, Gabriel, Ben White, Arsenal defence are just ridiculous. And they've got Bournemouth at home in 36 and Everton at home in 38. Yes, it's not ideal benching double Arsenal defence, which it would be for me because I have Raya against Man United away. But it's also not an awful bench boost. And I could see them keeping a clean sheet. And the thing is with Gabriel and White, well, they also have attacking threats. They don't necessarily need a clean sheet if they get you an attacking return. And David Raya might make more saves than normal because you'd expect them to concede more shots. So actually, I don't mind the idea the more I think about it. And I'm trying to not think about it as the bench boost in 37, right? What I'm viewing it as is Arsenal have Bournemouth at home, United away, Everton at home, in comparison to Man City, who have Wolves at home, Fulham and Spurs away, and then I cannot remember who they're there from the final day, but it's a good fixture for them. I'll remember in a bit. But as a 4 versus a 3, yeah, maybe you would just about lean towards saying that Man City's fixtures are slightly better, but Arsenal are also a better defence, and they're probably more stable for minutes. So I don't think it's as easy as just saying go for Guardiola or Walker. Obviously, you would go for them. I actually think Gabriel White deserves some consideration. And I know this is going to be absolutely bonkers to say, although you probably won't think it is, to be honest. I'm highly tempted to bring in Gabriel and Ben White and go for a triple up on the Arsenal defence. Because most people have one Arsenal defender. So having just Raya is really gaining me very little. Not many people, but some have 2. I've not seen many, if any, with 3. And if they keep 2 clean sheets, 1 in 30, let's say it's only in 36 and 38. They concede to United. My bench boost is an absolute flop. But they keep clean sheets in 36 and 38. If I get triple clean sheet twice, that is 6 clean sheets in 3 weeks. I mean, that is massive. I'm probably looking then at getting over 45 points just from those 3 players, just through clean sheets and a few bonus points, not including saves and also attacking returns too. Obviously, the counter to that is if it goes horribly wrong and they keep no clean sheets, well, then the season's a bit of a write-off for me, and I'm probably not going to gain many points. But defenders don't keep get many points anyway. So I just wonder if there is some value there in just going triple up on Arsenal defence. But it maybe seems one step too far, potentially. So Gvardiol is a really nice option as well. Maybe one Arsenal defender and Gvardiol I do think is really nice. I also think Walker deserves consideration. You could see Walker getting more minutes than Gvardiol, but if you're trying to get decent minutes but also decent attacking threat, I think Gvardiol has everything. But I would not be surprised if he only starts 3 of the remaining 4 games, Gvardiol. In fact, I would predict that he probably won't start the 4 remaining games, especially if the league is wrapped up by like the second game with 37 or going into 38. I wouldn't be surprised if he's benched in one of those last 2 games. So I still like Gvardiol, but I think we need to temper our expectations that you just never know if a City defender is going to start all of the games. And then the only other option that I'm really highly considering is an Everton defender, because they're defending well. The fixtures are good. They've got Luton this week. They've got Sheffield United at home in the double. And then you don't necessarily need to play them in 38 if you don't want to, because obviously they play against Arsenal. But in those next 2 games, the fixtures are absolutely ideal. So I wonder if bringing in a Tarkowski could be a good option. Lots of people will have gone for Branthwaite. He's absolutely great. He's really good for bonus points. He doesn't get as many yellow cards as Tarkowski, but Tarkowski's just got that absolutely elite attacking threat that I don't think many other defenders have. He's brilliant from corners. So in all honesty, it's probably a combination of those 4, but I have considered Walker, as I said. Porro also deserves consideration, but he just doesn't have the fixture that you necessarily want to attack with this week. Dalot and Maguire, they're kind of considerations, but I just don't trust United defensively. And then Branthwaite, if I don't want to go for Tarkowski due to like being a yellow card magnet, maybe I go there. So let me now switch back to my team. This has been an incredibly long section. And again, sorry if you can hear shouting outside. I live in the city centre. It's so loud on a Wednesday because of student night, but ignore any background noise. So this is the way the team currently looks. I'm now going to just show you what my current plan is as of Wednesday, but I will update you throughout the week before the Friday deadline. So this is what I'm currently planning. -4 hit. Keep Cher and Gusto, dropped them to the bench, and then sell Van Heck and 8 Nuri for a -4. And at the moment, I'm planning on bringing in Gvardiol and Ben White. I do like the idea of getting my 3rd City asset. I've already got 2 attackers, as we'll discuss in a second. I like getting my 3rd City asset. Gvardiol's clearly in a nice run of form. He's getting some attacking positions, and the clean sheet potential is there this week. So I like Gvardiol, but I do like bringing in a second Arsenal defender to go with Raya. And I think Gabriel, in isolation, is more of a goal threat than Ben White. But what I think you get with Ben White is 2 things. More open play assist threat. I think he's more, and also probably more open play goal threat as well. Ben White is more likely to get you something from open play, whereas Gabriel is reliant on corners. And also, he's got lower ownership, Ben White. And I really like the idea of, listen, I'm at 45k at the moment. It's only going to get worse on Thursday because I don't have that many Chelsea and Spurs players. So why not go for it with a slightly lower owned player? We saw how well that went in Gameweek 34 when Ben White got that brace. So I quite like the idea of bringing Gvardiol, Ben White. It gives me my third city. It gives me double Arsenal defence. And it just sets me well up for the final 3 game weeks of the season. So that's the current plan in the defence. Lots of rambling there. Let's now move on to the midfield 5. So guys, moving on to the attack, I thought it'd actually be worth showing you the midfield and the forwards all together. Because in all honesty, I may well decide to just take an extra hit and make a luxury transfer. But as you can see, I'm already using my free transfer and taking a -4 on the defence. And that would still leave me with a potentially injured Fabian Schär and an almost probably injured Gusto. So I'm not really in a luxury position where I can start moving around my attackers. But I might end up deciding to do it. And if you think I should, if you see a move here, you're like, do you know what? This move here is just still worth doing even for an extra hit, then do let me know down below. But I think for me, more so my key decisions this week in the attacking position in the midfield and forwards is who do I bench out of the 8? And I think there are definitely 2 weaker options that I'm probably choosing between. And then also captaincy, because again, I'm currently ranked at 45k, probably beyond 50k. I reckon it'll be like 52, 53k probably by the end of the game week once that Chelsea Spurs game has been played. So my target for this season was top 50k. My team's not in a great position, though, and I don't think that's a guarantee. So I quite like the idea of taking a couple of risks to maybe shoot higher, but also to try and secure me that top 50k as well. So I'm not taking unnecessary risks, but captaining someone other than Haaland this week, I don't think is an awful decision. So these are the key things I'm thinking about. When it comes to the sort of my benching decision, I think I've narrowed it down to Garnacho and João Pedro. Very briefly, I think Palmer's a captaincy option, as we'll discuss in a second. No chance I ever bench him. Foden, with the rest that he's been given recently, as long as we don't think he's a doubt going into 36, because it was only illness apparently, I can't bench Foden. Fernandes is an absolutely elite FPL option at the moment. He's just creating chances all over the gaff. He's still getting that goal threat too. He's on penalties. The minutes are good. I know Palace are good at Selhurst Park, but I don't feel comfortable benching Fernandes. I'm not going to bench Haaland, obviously. Isak, whilst it's away, his away data is still pretty decent. It's better than Gordon's away data. And Burnley aren't a great defence. So all of those options I don't think I can bench. Which leaves Son, Garnacho and João Pedro. I don't think I'll bench Son, just because Liverpool have been giving up chances recently. Son is Son. He's a very consistent asset. He's a great finisher as well. He's also on penalties himself, and his minutes are pretty secure. So I think while Son probably should be at least discussed in my team, I don't think there's a chance of me benching Son, at least at the moment anyway, which basically leaves me with Garnacho and João Pedro. I need to bench one of those 2. I would love to know down below in the comments, if this was your team, would you bench Garnacho or João Pedro? I'm going back and forth on it. In favour of Garnacho, I think Garnacho's minutes are more secure. I think he's a midfielder, and obviously midfielders get an extra point for a clean sheet, which they probably won't get, but also an extra point for a goal. And I just think he's got more haul ability at the moment because Man United do create a lot of chances. They don't take them. I'm aware of that. But Brighton aren't even creating the chances. So I think that's what goes in favour of Garnacho for me, is that United are creating more chances than Brighton. And he's a midfielder, and I think he has more haul ability. And his minutes are slightly more secure. But what you get with João Pedro is you've got a home fixture, which is immediately a little bit nicer. I would say home against Villa may genuinely be a slightly better fixture at the moment than away against Palace. Maybe only slightly. And with João Pedro, you also get better underlying data. Even when we don't think Brighton are good, João Pedro's data is still pretty decent. And most importantly, when he's on the pitch, we still believe that João Pedro is on penalties. So it is very difficult to bench a penalty taker with a home fixture and start a non-penalty taker with an away fixture against a decent defence and playing in an underperforming team in Garnacho. So I'm sort of going back and forth. There are lots of pros and cons to each of them. I'm just about leaning Garnacho at the moment, but I would love to know what you think down below. The models tend to say this is pretty close as well. Fantasy Football Hub has them very, very close between the two. So yeah, I'd love to know down below what you think there. But that's one of the key decisions for me, is do I start Garnacho or João Pedro? And do let me know if you think I should bench one of the other options instead. So once I've made that decision, as well as obviously the transfers, I then need to think about captaincy. And maybe I'll discuss captaincy in the deadline decisions video in a bit more detail. I do think on paper, Haaland is probably the best captaincy option this week. I don't think many people would disagree with that. But do I think he's the only standout option? Like no one gets close to him. I'm not sure I back that. So in my team, if I'm not going to bench Haaland, if I'm not going to captain Haaland, I'm definitely not benching him. I think I've got 3 other captaincy options. I think the first is Isak. If it was Burnley at home, I'd feel a lot better. The fact it's away, Newcastle just aren't as good away. But Isak's data is still pretty decent, and he's on penalty. So I like the idea of Isak still, and no one's going to go there because of the narrative, whether it's true or not, it's up to you to decide, of just Newcastle aren't as good away. So I think it is a cheeky differential option. The other option is still back City to do well, but go Foden, right? Because with Phil Foden, again, you've got a midfielder, 1 point more for every goal that he gets, and 1 point for the clean sheet extra as well, and just more haul ability. Again, we've seen this season that Foden has got so many more hauls than Haaland because he's quite an explosive player and he's a midfielder as well. And midfielders have to do far less to get more points. We've said this before in FPL. So I actually still like the idea of captaining Foden, but I'm like, if I expect Foden to do well, Haaland's probably going to do well as well. So maybe I just back against it and say, maybe City only win this 1-0 or 2-0. And then I think we come down to probably the second best captaincy option this week for me, which is Cole Palmer. And I said in the Game Week preview video, if you're chasing, I think one of the best ways to chase is to just captain the second best option every week. Don't captain a rogue option. Just go, who is the best option? This week it's probably Haaland. Who's the second best option on paper? Probably Palmer. We'll just captain the second best option. Let's see how Chelsea and Palmer get on against Spurs on Thursday. And that might make the decision a little bit easier. But I just see this as a great fixture. He's incredibly reliable, especially at home. His attacking returns have been brilliant. His minutes are secure. He's on penalties. He's a midfielder. There is very little to dislike about Palmer in this fixture here. So let me know down below what you think of that idea of maybe going rogue with captaincy. Or do you just think I should run the team as it is, and then maybe in 37 or 38, if my Game Week 36 goes really badly, that's when I can decide to start taking a few more risks. So I think that's everything. 2 transfers this week, likely to be 2 defenders for a -4 hit. Currently leaning Vardiol and an Arsenal defender. I'm slightly tempted to load up on Arsenal and go triple Arsenal defence. Then I just need to bench one of Garnacho or João Pedro. Currently leaning towards benching João Pedro. And captaincy is the only other decision. Still just about leaning Haaland, but very, very, very tempted by Cole Palmer. So guys, as always in these team selection videos now, I thought I'd give you an update on how I'm getting on with my role as the football manager for South London United, who are part of One Future Football. And if you have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about, there will be the announcement video linked down below. It's only 4 or 5 minutes. If you've got a spare 4 or 5 minutes, because to be honest, this video was shorter than my normal videos, please do go and watch that video, then return, and I'll give you an update on how we are currently getting on as of now. But if you've been following my journey, thank you so much. I appreciate the support. So, as a summary and an update, the first 2 rounds, we lost both the games, but they were against 2 very difficult teams. In round 3, we actually won, which was a surprise victory that I was not expecting because we changed the formation and it's working well for us. But going into round 4, we were playing against Inter Nusantara, who are the best team in One Future Football. They're the champions last year. So far before we played them, they'd won their opening 3 games. They were top of the league. They'd barely conceded. I thought we were going to get smashed, like battered. I genuinely did. I didn't tell the players that because obviously I wouldn't do that. I'm a great manager. But somehow we drew 1-1. It was the shock of the league thus far. And I am so proud of the boys for hanging in there throughout the game. And Ruben Sinclair scored in injury time to nick us the draw. So it was only 1 point. And we have dropped down the table slightly to 8th now, but I'm just absolutely buzzing to pick up a point against the best team in the league. So that was really good. And I'm so excited for what's about to come this weekend. So usually in One Future Football, there is 1 game a week, a bit like in the Premier League. But what they've decided to do, and I love the idea of this because it is going to be action-packed, is they've created a super weekend. So round 5 will be on Friday, round 6 will be on Saturday, and then round 7 will commence on Sunday and last through Monday as well. So in the space of 4 days, South London United have 3 games. We've got the first game against Bondi FC, who are an Australian team. The second game against Niger, who are a Nigerian team. And then we've got Bengaluru Phoenix, who are an Indian team. So those 3 games, 2 of them at home, 1 of them away, will happen across this weekend. So the next time that I do a video and discuss One Future Football, we would have played 3 further games. And these are 3 winnable games as well. So I am honestly hoping for 6 to 9 points from these 3 games. Given how tough the start to the season was, this could be a really nice opportunity for us. I am still going to be lining up in the 4-3-3, but given that we've got 3 games in quick succession, there will be a few personnel changes throughout the 3 games, and I'll decide that as and when. But this will be the team that goes into the first game against Bondi. It's my strongest 11. Ogbag Bamiro comes straight back into the starting 11 in place of Sakura. And to be honest, I'm just really, really happy with the team and the way that they're performing, so there's very little need to change them. A massive thank you this week again to the top fans. Gavin 10 is an absolute monster. He has trained so many of our players, as has Horan, Herms and Duke, Mseti, Tiggy Time, John, K Spokesman, and Mr. and Mrs. FPL. Thank you to everyone that's training the players. If you want to support me, you've enjoyed my videos over the years and you're not yet involved in One Future Football, all you have to do is register with the link down below. It will take you to One Future Football, sign up. But the important thing is, and over 100 of you haven't done this, is once you sign up, you need to say that you support South London. Otherwise, you're not yet supporting my team. So if you've signed up but you haven't yet said that you support South London, you go over onto your dashboard, which you can get by accessing on the top right corner of the screen, clicking your profile, go to dashboard, and then select South London United as the team that you support. Then once you do that, you are officially a fan of the club. You can start training our players and just get more involved in this project. I'm absolutely loving it. I'm so glad that so many of you are on board with it as well. And yeah, I'm excited to give you the update from round 5, 6, and 7, which will be taking place this weekend. And if you want to watch the simulations yourself for these games, you can watch them over on YouTube at the times that are listed above. So 10 p.m. Friday, 8 p.m. on Saturday, and then 1:30 p.m. UK time on Monday. Please join me. Let's watch, and hopefully we can pick up some decent points. But like I said, key thing, sign up down below and say you support South London United. So guys, there you have it. That is my Game Week 36 team selection. After this, there are only going to be 2 further team selection videos. We are so close to the end of the season. And if you have enjoyed today's video, and you've enjoyed these videos throughout the year, please do smash that like button. Let's aim for 1,500 likes. And if you are new around here and you're not yet subscribed, please do consider doing that. But until next time, thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.